控室にいるリクちゃんに突撃取材をしてみようと思います。CM 撮影お疲れ様でした。
お疲れ様でした。
突然ですが、リクちゃんがいつも持ち歩いているものを紹介してもらおうと思います。パチパチパチパチ
いきなりやな。いいよ。
オープン。
まずはトレーニングベルトです。ここを私の腰を巻いて、ここをリュウイチくんのこうやって踏んでもらってスクワットをしたり、ジャンプをしたり。次が友達からのお手紙。先生の娘さんからいただいたグッドラックの
いつも持ってるね、これ
お守りですね。あとはこれ、倍速美容液。私肌が揺らぎやすくてスキンケアを見つけるのにすごく苦労したから、これに出会えてすごくハッピーなんです。
確かにリクちゃん最近ゲイもんね。
保湿はすごく気をつけてます。肌の水分が逃げないように。倍速美容液だけじゃなく、化粧水と乳液にもいつもお世話になっています。次はリュウイチくんの持ち歩いているものに行きましょう。
いやー、それはまた今度で。バイバイ。
For 7 years in Canada, Ryuichi Kihara never traveled without 3 simple items. At first glance, they seemed ordinary, but together, they revealed the mindset that helped him become an Olympic gold medalist. The locker room before a competition is one of the few places where athletes can truly be themselves. There are no judges watching, no coaches giving instructions, and no need to perform for the cameras. It's just the skaters, their partners, and their thoughts before stepping onto the ice. It was in that quiet setting that Ryuichi Kihara opened his bag and showed its contents to the camera. Inside were 3 things: massage balls of different sizes, a massage gun, and a bottle of Elixir Advanced Serum. At first, it looked like a typical collection of recovery tools and skincare products. But when viewed through the lens of the 7 years he spent training alongside Riku Miura in Canada, those items became much more than everyday belongings. They represented the way Ryuichi Kihara lives. The first thing he pulled out was a collection of massage balls in various sizes. "I carry different sizes," he explained, while demonstrating how he uses them to loosen tight muscles. On the surface, that sounds completely normal. But the fact that he carefully carried several different sizes says everything about his personality. Pair skating is one of the most physically demanding events in figure skating. For the male partner, every lift and throw jump places enormous stress on the shoulders, back, arms, and core. Physical condition isn't just important, it directly determines the quality of the performance. Throughout his competitive career, Kihara constantly dealt with strain in his back and shoulders. Before he teamed up with Riku Miura, he even revealed in an interview that he was recovering from injuries after separating from his previous skating partner. Knowing that history, carrying multiple massage balls wasn't simply a habit. It was the quiet determination of someone who had already experienced being forced away from the sport by injury and had no intention of letting it happen again. Each ball had its own purpose. The larger ones were used for broad muscle groups. The smaller ones targeted deep, hard-to-reach areas with greater precision. That level of preparation isn't something you develop casually. It comes from years of learning exactly how your body responds after countless hours of training. In other words, Kihara knows his body like a map. For 7 years, that body supported Riku Miura through every practice, every competition, and every lift. He learned to recognize every ache, every warning sign, and every area that needed attention before it became a serious problem. Personally, this item felt the most Ryuichi Kihara. There was nothing flashy about it. It wasn't something he carried to impress anyone. It was simply a practical tool that quietly did its job. That humble attention to detail may have been one of the biggest reasons he was able to compete at the highest level for so many years. The second item he pulled from the bag was a massage gun. Once again, he demonstrated how he uses it to relax muscles and speed up recovery. As he showed the different techniques, Riku Miura couldn't help laughing. "Your bag is nothing but recovery tools." Kihara laughed too. It sounded like a simple joke, but it revealed something much deeper. After seeing 2 recovery tools in a row, Riku wasn't expressing surprise. She wasn't saying, "That's strange." She was saying, "That's exactly like you." It was the kind of comment only someone who had shared everyday life with him for 7 years could make. You don't laugh like that with someone you've just met. That single sentence proved how well she understood him. She already knew his priorities. She knew his bag was always filled with recovery equipment. She knew taking care of his body always came first. Nothing about it surprised her anymore. And when you think about why Kihara always carried that massage gun, the answer connects directly to Riku Miura herself. Every lift placed tremendous stress on his shoulders, arms, and lower back. One lift might not seem significant, but thousands of lifts over 7 years create a completely different reality. Without constant recovery, that body simply couldn't continue performing. The massage gun wasn't just protecting Kihara's muscles, it was protecting the partnership. By taking care of himself, he was making sure he could safely support Riku every time they stepped onto the ice. Behind every flawless lift and every Olympic performance was the quiet routine of recovery that almost nobody ever noticed. When you realize that, their record-breaking free skate in Milan suddenly feels even more remarkable. The score of 158.13 wasn't built only through talent. It was built through thousands of invisible moments like these. Then came the third item, and it surprised everyone. Instead of another recovery tool, Kihara reached into his bag and pulled out a bottle of Elixir Advanced Serum. No one expected skincare. Riku smiled and explained, "Men need to take care of their skin too." Then she added, "Canada is so dry that you started taking care of your skin every single day. Your skin became so smooth." Kihara smiled. "Your skin is important." Riku immediately teased him. "That's a surprisingly responsible thing for Miki-chan to say." Laughing, Kihara replied, "I'm always responsible." It lasted only a few seconds, but that exchange perfectly captured the relationship they had built over 7 years. The nickname, the playful teasing, the effortless timing, those little moments reflected years of trust and shared experience that couldn't be created overnight. There's another reason this serum stands out. Back in a 2020 interview, Kihara admitted he didn't have a skincare routine at all. He simply washed his face and left it at that. At the time, skincare wasn't something he thought about. Now he carried a serum everywhere he went. Something had clearly changed. The biggest reason was probably life in Canada. As Riku pointed out, Canada's climate is incredibly dry. Winters in Oakville and the Toronto area often bring extremely low humidity. Combined with long hours on the ice and constant transitions between freezing outdoor air and heated indoor rinks, an athlete's skin takes a beating. Through experience, Kihara learned that ignoring the problem simply wasn't an option, so he adapted. That decision perfectly reflects the kind of person he is. He doesn't chase trends. He doesn't change for appearances. When something becomes necessary, he quietly adjusts, finds a solution, and sticks with it. Those 3 items, the massage balls, the massage gun, and the skincare serum, all reveal the same way of thinking. Ryuichi Kihara didn't start using them because they were trendy or because someone told him he should. He started because he realized he had to. That difference matters. His decisions weren't driven by emotion or appearance. They were driven by necessity. Every habit had a purpose, and that practical mindset became one of the foundations that supported his 7-year journey with Riku Miura. Even his choice of skincare tells a story. The serum he carried was from Elixir, a brand connected to one of Rikuryu's sponsors. It's possible he first tried it because of that partnership. But there's a difference between accepting a sponsored product and carrying it in your bag every single day. Once something proved useful, Kihara made it part of his routine. That's another pattern that appears throughout his life. Many of his habits begin through circumstance, but they stay because they genuinely improve his daily life. After Riku joked that his bag contained nothing but recovery tools, Kihara calmly pulled out the serum. It completely changed the mood. Everyone expected another massage gadget. Instead, out came skincare. Riku immediately smiled and explained, "Canada is incredibly dry." That explanation is more important than it first appears. She didn't ask, "Why do you carry that?" She already knew the answer. Instead, she explained it for him. That small moment showed just how much of their daily life they had shared over 7 years. They experienced the same winters, the same dry air, the same endless practices, the same exhaustion after training. When you've lived through all of that together, explanations become unnecessary. You already understand. Looking at those 3 items together, one theme becomes impossible to ignore. They all exist to maintain something. Maintain the body, maintain the skin, maintain physical condition. Kihara has always been someone who values consistency over dramatic change, and that wasn't limited to his own health. It was also how he approached his partnership with Riku. For 7 years, he quietly maintained the relationship in the same way. He checked whether she'd forgotten anything before competitions. He waited outside the team bus if she was running late. He carried 2 phone chargers just in case. He relaxed whenever he saw her enjoying a meal after training. None of those moments were spectacular. They were simply small acts repeated every day. If there's a secret behind an Olympic gold medal partnership, it may not be extraordinary talent or revolutionary training methods. It may simply be the ability to keep showing up every single day. The things Kihara carried in his bag reflected the same things he carried in his heart throughout those 7 years. At the end of the video, Riku smiled and said, "Don't forget anything anymore, okay?" Kihara answered immediately, "I won't." Anyone who followed the pair knows why that exchange was funny. Riku was the one famous for forgetting things. For years, Kihara had been the one checking her equipment, reminding her about essentials, and making sure nothing was left behind. So hearing Riku tell him not to forget anything felt like the roles had suddenly reversed. It was playful, it was warm, and somehow it perfectly captured everything about their relationship. The person who always looked after someone else was, for one brief moment, the one being looked after. His quiet reply, "I won't," carried the weight of 7 years. The muscles he cared for with those massage balls were the same muscles that supported Riku through thousands of lifts. The muscles he treated with the massage gun launched her into the air over and over again. The skin he protected with that serum endured Canada's harsh winters alongside hers. Those weren't just personal belongings. They were physical reminders of how he chose to live. Interestingly, Riku's bag was almost the complete opposite. While Kihara carried practical tools for maintenance and recovery, Riku carried things that brought comfort and joy. Earphones for listening to music before practice, her favorite snacks, a stuffed moose she began collecting while living in Canada. Her choices weren't about function, they were about emotion. That contrast says a lot. They trained together for 7 years. They lived in the same country, competed in the same events, shared the same victories and disappointments, yet their bags reflected completely different personalities. Kihara prepared, Riku felt, one valued structure, the other valued inspiration, and perhaps that's exactly why they worked so well together. His calm practicality gave stability to her emotions, her warmth and sensitivity softened his seriousness. Those differences weren't obstacles, they completed each other. Imagine the scene, Kihara quietly rolling out his muscles with a massage ball. Beside him, Riku listening to music through her earphones. Kihara applying skincare after practice. Riku enjoying her favorite snack. Only when those two worlds existed side by side did Rikuryu truly become complete. It's easy to call that good chemistry, but chemistry alone isn't enough. Compatibility can happen by chance. What they built wasn't accidental. It was created through thousands of ordinary days. Riku collected stuffed moose. Kihara collected massage balls. Those two very different collections existed together inside the life they built in Canada. Their differences even showed up in their skating. Kihara once explained in an interview that Riku naturally loved skating with speed, and because he enjoyed it too, their performances gradually became faster and more powerful. Her instinct pushed forward. His preparation allowed him to follow. Without the careful recovery routine that kept his body healthy, he couldn't have matched her pace. The contents of his bag and their performances on the ice were connected. Preparation behind the scenes created magic in front of the audience. Those countless invisible moments eventually became Olympic gold, but perhaps the greatest example of their partnership came during its hardest moment. On February 16, 2026, during the short program at the Milan Cortina Winter Olympics, they made a costly mistake on a lift and dropped to 5th place. That night, Kihara broke down. He cried constantly, even while eating breakfast, even after washing his face. Later, he admitted that his skin became sore because he had cried so much. For 7 years, he had always been the one who stayed composed, the one who prepared, the one who solved problems. But that night, his emotional strength finally gave way. The massage balls couldn't help. The massage gun couldn't help. Even the skincare routine no longer mattered, because this time it wasn't his body that was hurting, it was his heart. Riku reacted differently. She didn't cry. Instead, she took a Ziploc bag, the kind she normally used for snacks, and wrote a short message across it. "We can absolutely do this. We've already done the work." Then she handed it to Kihara. At that moment, the roles quietly reversed. The person who usually prepared everything was the one who needed support. And Riku became the one offering it. Her handwritten note became her version of a recovery tool. Just as Kihara used massage balls to loosen tight muscles, Riku used words to ease the tension in his heart. The next day, he stepped onto the ice with renewed confidence. Together, they delivered a historic free skate, scoring 158.13 points, a world record performance that secured Olympic gold. Thinking back to the locker room video makes that achievement even more meaningful. Kihara was always the one carrying the tools, the one who prepared, the one who looked after others, but when he finally reached his breaking point, Riku quietly became the one who held everything together. That's the true strength of their partnership. Neither person is always the supporter. Neither person is always the one being supported. When one falls, the other steps forward. They never needed to discuss those roles. After 7 years together, they simply understood. That's why Riku's playful comment, "Your bag is nothing but recovery tools," became so memorable. It wasn't criticism. It wasn't teasing. It was the laughter of someone saying, "I know exactly who you are." Only someone who has shared years of everyday life could say those words that naturally. Fans love Rikuryu not only because of their performances. They love the tiny moments between performances, the conversations backstage, the playful exchanges during interviews, the way they finish each other's thoughts. Those little moments reveal 7 years of trust more clearly than any medal ever could. Even Riku's nickname for him, Miki-chan, speaks volumes. Instead of calling him Kihara or Kihara-san, she naturally used a nickname. He laughed and replied, "I'm always responsible." Only someone who knows you're already understood can joke like that. From the outside, Kihara often appears calm, logical, and perfectly organized. But through Riku's eyes, he also has a playful side. The man who carefully carries 3 different massage balls is also the man she affectionately teases. Both versions are real, neither one is an act. And only someone who spent 7 years beside him could reveal that side so naturally. Returning to the final exchange, "Don't forget anything anymore." "I won't." On the surface, it's just a joke. But after knowing their history, it carries a much deeper meaning. For years, Kihara was the one reminding Riku about her skates, costumes, passports, charges, and everything else before competitions. He was the one who waited patiently outside buses, the one who carried backup charges, the one who quietly made sure everything was ready. Yet in that final moment, Riku became the caretaker. It felt like a glimpse into the future. Once competition ended, there would be no more equipment checks before stepping onto Olympic ice. No more pre-event routines. Perhaps from that point forward, she would become the one looking after him in new ways. That brief exchange hinted at the next chapter of their relationship. After retiring, both spoke about creating the Rikuryu Academy, hoping to develop pair skating in Japan so future athletes wouldn't have to leave the country to reach the world stage. Their bags may change. Massage balls might be replaced by coaching notebooks. The massage gun might become student schedules and training plans, but their roles will probably remain the same. Kihara will continue preparing the foundation. Riku will continue bringing warmth and inspiration. Those roles weren't assigned. They were built naturally over 7 unforgettable years. And perhaps the most important thing Kihara carried throughout those years never fit inside his bag at all. It was his decision to stand beside Riku Miura. Every practice, every competition, every morning, without making grand speeches or dramatic promises. He simply chose, every single day, to be there. The 3 items inside his bag told only part of the story. The greatest thing he carried for 7 years was far heavier than any of them. It was the responsibility, commitment, and unwavering choice to remain by his partner's side.